Water, or being thrown in water, is often symbolic for death, and because body transformation requires clinical death, coming out of the water is symbolic for undergoing transformation, or coming back from the dead. Often, when a movie character rises out of the water, or the abyss, the character rises up a little different than they went in. Another Michael Ferris, John Brancato flick is The Very Unfortunate Catwoman. The movie is awful beyond reckoning, but in it we see the standard use of water symbolism.
It all started on the day that I died. If there had been an obituary, it would have described the unremarkable life of an unremarkable woman. You died, but you were reborn.
In Catwoman, Halle Berry gets killed by agents of the company she works for. She finds herself floating, dead in the water. A special, mystical cat comes by and breathes new life into her, and she comes back to life. Upon arising out of the water, she discovers that she's been endowed with incredible speed, strength, senses, and is now subject to an animalistic alter ego. The movie associates Catwoman with the Egyptian goddess Bast. She of course goes on to avenge her own death and set the wrong things right. But the award for the most barefaced use of water symbolism for body transformation goes to Constantine. Constantine is about a demon hunter played by Keanu Reeves. In this scene, Angela is trying to convince Constantine to give her psychic powers and second sight. He warns her that this request is irreversible and that she will forever see spirits, and they will see her. He goes about putting her in a tub of water and telling her that she must be completely submerged for her to be transformed. When she asks how long she'll be underwater, his reply is, as long as it takes. The reason is that you have to be clinically dead before you are transformed.
I need to see what she saw.
You do this, there's no turning back. You see them. They see you. Lie down.
What do you mean, lie down?
You have to be fully submerged.
For how long?
As long as it takes.
After rising out of the water, her senses are so heightened that they immediately begin leading her around. She also finds herself instantly illuminated, now understanding all of the mysteries of her previous life. In fact, water is used more than once in the movie to describe death and body transformation. Sometimes, when the storyline demands, the character will be arriving by ship from the sea instead of rising out of the water. This brings us to the stories of David S. Goyer. David Goyer has written the story for movies such as The Puppet Masters, Blade 1 through 3, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, The Unborn, and contributed to Jumper. I have already discussed symbolism in Batman in previous documentaries. I've also reviewed symbolism in David Goyer's Blade series, so I'll keep it short by pointing out this single, relevant scene from Blade Trinity. In this scene, Dagon, or Dragula, is shown disappearing from the world. In the movie, Dagon is described as having wrought murder and suffering upon the world for ages, and then suddenly vanishes. Water symbolism is used to describe what was actually his death. Another movie David Goyer was involved in was Jumper. Jumper is about a guy named David Rice, who finds out that he has the ability to teleport himself across vast distances simply by imagining his intended destination. He first discovered that he had these powers the day he fell into a partially frozen lake. The intense fear brought on by the prospect of drowning in ice-cold water triggered his first teleport. After that, he runs or teleports away from home, leaving all those who knew him believing that he had died in the frozen lake. He goes on a crime spree, eventually meeting up with another teleporter. Then there's a Luke Skywalker moment where he finds out that his mother is a big cheese in a group that hunts jumpers just like him. What's important here is the use of water symbolism, going underwater and coming out with extra abilities. In the movie, the character doesn't actually die, but the writers drop hints about what has actually happened by having all the townspeople thinking that David had died in the lake. Another David Goyer movie is The Crow, City of Angels. The Crow, City of Angels, is about a guy named Ash, who along with his son are murdered for witnessing a crime. Both are thrown into the water, but while there, Ash comes back to life and rises out of the water with incredible strength, speed, and a body that's impossible to kill. After a brief freakout caused by finding out that he had been killed, he goes on to avenge his own death by killing one criminal after another, working his way up to the man ultimately responsible for his and his son's death. Finally, you have David Goyer's Unborn. The Unborn contains the standard symbolism you'd expect from any insider story. Similar to The Man Who Would Be King and Stargate, the Unborn includes a charm adorned with the all-seeing eye that was given for a source of protection. This is known as the Eye of Horus. The Eye of Horus, or the Wadjet, is an Egyptian symbol of protection. The Wadjet was commonly associated with the Egyptian goddesses Bast, Hathor, and Sekhmet. Sekhmet, who is also known as the Eye of Ra, was typically spoke of as an ultimate weapon. In Hollywood Insider's Full Disclosure, I spoke of Asmodeus, the highly intelligent villain in purple who is associated with the pyramid, the all-seeing eye, and betrays those he's working with. Oftentimes, this villain or villainous organization is associated with not only the colors purple, but purple and red. This color combination is from the Bible and is a reference to the Whore of Babylon. The Whore of Babylon is a character or location in the Bible who's associated with black magic, economics, and the trafficking of souls. A Bible verse in reference to the Whore of Babylon from Revelation chapter 17 verse 4 states, "And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication." The verse states that this entity is associated with the colors purple and scarlet. Scarlet is red with a slight hint of orange. The Hollywood Insider series has reviewed only a few movies relative to how many are out there, and still, the color combination purple and scarlet appears several times. Here are the instances of purple and red from movies covered by this series. In The Man Who Would Be King, Danny's wife wears purple and red. Homer and the rest of his stonecutters / Freemasons are decked out in purple and red. Ra, the sun god from Stargate, wears purple and red. Michael, while impersonating a god, has purple and red on. In Batman, both Jack Nicholson's Joker and Heath Ledger's Joker wear purple on the outside, red on the inside. In 10,000 BC, the main villain wears purple and red. In Gabriel, when Archangel Gabriel enters the headquarters of the villains, the background alternates between purple and red. In The Crow, City of Angels, virtually the same thing, with an all-seeing eye to boot. In Pocahontas, the villain wears, you guessed it. Still don't believe me? That's okay. This TV show, which played on Cartoon Network, illustrates my point better than all of that anyway. This is Minority, which was part of Cartoon Network's Adult Swim lineup of 2005. The show contains loads of racist jokes that are actually pretty funny, and revolves around a group of minority superheroes. There's a Jew, a black guy, a Mexican, an Indian, and a Chinese Charles Xavier.
Es la única manera sacar que ¡Viva la raza!
You go in, distract club members with break dancing.
That's done, baby.
Guy.
Where the party at? I heard there was a party up in here. Yeah, check this out. Ha! Ha!
The whole show reminds you of an animated version of the Illuminati card game. The villain of the show, a guy called the White Shadow, has a pyramid for a head with a single eye, and runs a criminal organization from atop a phallic tower.
Nothing like bathing in tears after a hard day of evilness.